Hi, guys.
Howdy, howdy.
How's everyone doing? I see we got Mama Burton in the house. We got Margie in the house. We got Rebecca in the house. Guys, you know the drill. Let us know that you're there. You can see us, that it's not blurry or the audio's not insane. So I know when I was doing my live in the barn, like you could tell when I was going into places where the coverage wasn't all that great because it would all of a sudden get kind of grainy. And I know like you guys couldn't hear a word I was saying. So I appreciate y'all hanging with me through that, and had to take last week off because last week was taxing.
Yeah.
But we're
Had
here
some
this
ups and
week.
downs.
Yeah, we have had roller coasters, which that's just the way that it is on a farm. But we just want to see how you guys are doing first before we jump into all of the topics that we have to cover tonight.
Everybody likes your thumbnail picture.
Do you guys like the thumbnail picture? Like, I'm really resistant to AI, but I have started using it a little bit more. That actually is from like a year ago when I started playing with like an art generator. I just don't want to discount like artistic ability, so I really try to veer away from AI in that way because I think it does discount art. But I really liked it. I thought it was super fun. It made all kinds of different like movie posters, but it's kind of funny because like hands will be weird, or like the goats in the picture will like have weird horns, or I had one with bees, honeybees, but it was actually like striped birds, like with a bug face. It was very weird. Sometimes it picks weird things to kind of hone in on. But how's everybody doing? Hello, Yvonne. You got to make it for once. Oh my gosh.
Hi. She tries to make it.
She does. Hi, Sam. How are you? Oh my gosh. So we are in the throes of false spring right now. Well, I don't know. Is it considered false spring? I still think it's false spring because it's not the official date of spring. We are almost 21 days away. So 3 weeks from like today.
Yeah.
3 weeks from today, and we will be officially in spring, but it has felt like spring for the last couple of days, even though I know winter's going to kind of like give us a little kiss.
Makes it so pleasant outside, but I'll be honest, the mud has gotten ridiculous around here.
Yeah, he actually walked in, he has it all over his pants.
And I didn't even like roll in it.
No, he just walked by through. He just walked through, and we were sitting down. I made some shrimp and fish and riced cauliflower for dinner, and sat it down and was like, you have probably poop all over your pants. Probably not mud. Probably something else. He's like, I just walked through there too. He wasn't doing anything
chicken
strenuous.
pen's a mess.
Where he takes care of the bucks and the dogs in the afternoon for me, and that's the low-lying area like of our pen.
Well, section of it is by the gate, of course.
The gate is awful because of course they want to be up there all the time.
Yeah. I think that's why it's also muddy. They constantly trample it. So
I can tell it's bad though because Dexter doesn't meet me at that gate in the morning. He like stands off to the side, like I'll let you come through there first. So I know it's getting bad. I actually have some like pallets and plastic pallets and some old pieces of like plywood that I might set down just so that there's like a flat surface where they can kind of walk.
About sawdust. A couple different ideas.
Yeah, I feel like sawdust is just going to churn into an even bigger mess. Hi, Mama Burton. Rebecca said it finally got warm again here, but I know that we will have dry spring. Yes. Yes. I am ready for dry spring. Actually like this winter for me, I've struggled a lot with like depression and just not having motivation because like we have had so much snow and it has been so cold and it just makes everything more difficult. And of course, I didn't have that many goats kid out in February and January because I was still a little leery. I remember my days kidding out boar goats and was like, I don't know if I want to tackle that head on because it can be really stinking brutal. It was enough to make me be like, I don't know if I want to kid them out in February again. But a lot of times like this year was bad. A lot of winter times, like we do not have that bad of a winter. We get mild breaks. We get like what we're getting now, like in January through February. Yeah. It just felt like we had like a long time with no break.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Not much. You've been busy making soaps though.
Yeah, I've been busy making soaps.
So I have an upcoming class.
I do have an upcoming class and I'm excited about that because I only have 2 spots left. So
they filled up fast.
They filled up actually like this morning I sold 6 spots. So I'd already sold 2 spots.
So if you're interested, there's limited space
there's limited space left.
It probably won't be the last one.
It will not be the last one because I've had a lot of people that told me like, hey,
you have to wait to say that until after it so you know how
it goes.
It will go fine.
It'll go fine.
Honestly, like all the classes we have, we always meet new people. It's neat the connections we make.
Yeah, and actually like a lot of people in this class, like I know a few of them.
Yeah.
They just want to take the class, which is great to have people that are like in your life that want to support you.
Mhm.
But I've had a lot of outside interest as well that they really wanted to, but there was like, oh, I already have something on that date. So I think I'm going to do one in March. July, like we're in like a bit of a dry spell show wise outside of like county fair. There are no shows on the weekends. So I'm like, outside of county, I probably could do a class in July, and it would help me keep animals in milk. And then I think I might do one again in like September, October.
Mhm.
And then one like right before, I would love to do one like right before 6 weeks prior to Christmas so that people could make like their own soap and like gift it out if they wanted to. So
Yeah.
I'm probably going to try to like aim for like a 8 to 6 week window prior to Christmas. So I might double up pretty hard in the fall, but everything starts to slow down and people start staying indoors for things because it starts getting a little bit cold. So
yep. Yvonne said she's sick of winter. We can definitely
too.
relate
Oh,
to
Yvonne, you know how like I had that little video of the hive that died? I don't know if it's dead.
No,
I was out there yesterday and I don't know if it looked a little bit dirty on the front, which can be a sign that other beehives are robbing, but it wasn't like the frantic craziness that happens when like bees are robbing out a dead hive. They might actually be alive. So I really wanted to get in yesterday, but it just got away from me.
Yeah.
I was ill half day from work, so I spent a lot of time out in the barn. I really needed to get some things done. I got sick. I got desk sickness. I was tired. I was looking outside and it was so warm. Like I literally cannot do any work.
Take advantage of it.
Yeah, I cannot.
I did
work.
today before, but it was
for dentists.
Yeah, so I can't say
his was less fun, but we definitely are enjoying the weather that's starting to.
We really need to break into them and feed them, though.
We do.
I know Yvonne has had bees. I haven't seen anything lately.
And you have like long bar, don't you? Or you have the vertical, the horizontal hives, right?
If I remember right. Yep.
Rebecca says we barely got any snow, so dry here. It's bad. The garden will suffer.
I wish we could send you some of our.
I wish we could have because
we got rain tonight.
We got rain tonight. We had rain yesterday.
A little bit.
We got actually a lot more snowfall than we usually do with rain this winter. So I know a lot of like the precipitation we expect to get during the winter to kind of sustain the ground for growing in the springtime, like we got a lot of it.
Yeah.
So horizontal laying hives. That's why I thought I could have sworn like you.
And how are yours doing over the winter? I know.
Hey, do you have a list of scents for your soaps that you can send me a list? I sure can. Yeah. I actually will send you to like, you have to look at it for mobile, but I do have a Facebook shop now with the soaps in it. I do have 5 or 6 that are new that I don't have out there just yet. I need to take pictures and put posts on them.
Constantly tinkering with new scents.
I'm constantly tinkering.
She's like a mad scientist in the kitchen with the soaps.
Like last night, I actually made Kaolin clay soap. So like for what do you call that?
What's that good for? Just
it's for poison ivy. So like you'll get like the kaolin.
Soothe.
It's not kaolin. What is it? It's pink. Is it kaolin clay? It's for poison ivy. I didn't put any hive. I didn't put any scents in it. I just used a lot of the clay, which is supposed to be able to soothe for poison ivy, even though I can't put that on the package that it has a medical claim to do anything. Goat's milk is already nourishing to the skin. If I put a medical claim on the packet, I did put bentonite in there too.
That says that's good for it too.
Okay, it's pink.
Pink.
It's a pink clay. I don't know.
Calamine?
Calamine. That's what it is. I kept saying
I didn't know there was a clay. I thought there was a lotion.
No, it's derived from the clay. That's how you make the lotion. I probably could make calamine lotion too because I do have the clay. But
that reminds me of the pink ear infection, amoxicillin. Remember that? The bubblegum medicine we used to call.
So Yvonne, I just do this. I like run around in circles before I actually get to the point. I will send you a link. You have to look at it on your phone though. Facebook shops are not visible on desktop. They're only visible on mobile because they're fantastic. I'm still like to the point of a web page. I'm still looking at it. I just
in our free time.
And it's not free time is about to go out the window. Next week, I think I have 6 or 7 does that are due, and I actually have to give 30-day shots for CDTs this week.
All the spring maintenance.
Yeah,
some people do spring cleaning. It's like spring maintenance.
I already did my big maintenance push like in February.
I remember you talking about which ones you hit.
Because
Yvonne said they lost 3 of the 5.
Oh, did you lose? I thought you said you lost 3 of the 5.
We've been there the last couple winters. We've had some
I'm sorry. That is just so rough. But at least you know you have some empties for swarms now. And then Bruce is in here, so Bruce knows.
Calamine,
Sweet calamine. Da, da, da.
Caroline, that's funny.
I hope it's sweet calamine.
Yeah.
I hope it's really soothing. I actually got a lot of people asking about that at the last few shows. Like, do you have anything for poison? I'm like, I cannot make medical claims, or the USDA can come and inspect everything. So I'm just going to tell you that calamine clay is known for its soothing abilities for plants that cause the itch. And it's good for your skin, along with the goat's milk butter fat. Yeah, it'll scratch that itch. Yeah, so like next week I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 does due, then I have like 1 straggler, then 5. Yeah, I'm like over here. I'm like, woo! Look at all these that are coming up. So this is the top. Yeah, a bunch are out of lunar until we get like further down here, and then Stifler gets the show. I do have like a Tater and Taki are in there. And that's great when you start giving your goats nicknames. So I've got Taki and Tater and Tavor and Lunar and Stifler. So do you like that?
Yeah, we get creative with the names, of course, around here. So
yeah, so we have a lot of baby goats that are coming. So I'm trying to prepare for that, which means I've already sold basically all of my wethers from January kiddings. They all leave like the week of the 10th in March. So they only have like 2 more weeks with me, but like all of my wethers are already sold. They either have deposits or they're spoken for the most part, unless someone like really screws me, which if it is what it is, people are spontaneous buyers. I would really rather them not spontaneously buy an animal. I'd rather them really want to make sure that they're going to want the animal to take care of it, because I would feel bad if it went anyway. But 2 of them are going for 4-H projects, 4-H wethers. And then the other 2 are going because someone nearby wants to start like their own little, they want to have goats and they want to get to that point, but they want to start slow. So they're buying a wether and they're buying a pet doe from me, because I have one doe that she's from like an April kidding, and she was the runt, and she is still just the most stunted thing ever, where I'm like, I don't know if you will ever get to breeding size. You might at like the age of 3 or 4, like if you don't fight with the rest of the girls that I have here. So she might have a better chance where she's going to actually grow up. Name all of mine off of Fleetwood Mac theme.
So it's like the songs. That's cool.
I like that. I really like that. So let's see who is up. We can talk names, guys. We can talk names. So whether is that where the males? Yes. Wethers are bucks that have been castrated either via like banding or the Burdizo or California bander, which Burdizo is like a crushing method. I just never think I'm going to hold it.
Man, you really had to bring that out, didn't you?
I'm always worried I'm not going to crush like the vas deferens long enough or hard enough to make sure that there's not going to be any unplanned for babies. We do the banding. I know some people don't like that, but it doesn't matter what you do. Somebody out there is going to hate it or tell you how terrible you are.
We've had good success with it. The bucks.
I really haven't had any issues. I had one lady that bought one banded, and I know I did it correctly, but it got infected. And I told her, I'm like, I spray with fly spray, and I put like Alu Shield on there. Like if it looks like it's going to get infected, then you do the CDT antitoxin. Like she knew all these things, and then it just was drawn out. And my wethers, I don't charge a lot for them when they go. So she was upset, but the vet told her, she's like, it was banded correctly. It's just, it got an infection. Like that's just what it is. And it was in high summer. So, which is why for, Dexter, I got him neutered in December so that we wouldn't have flies and we wouldn't have fly strike with him.
He had some trouble with his ears.
He did have trouble with his ears, just scratching them a lot. So
he's high anxiety anyway. So if he finds something to pick at, he's going to. He definitely did with
so
the flies.
We've got Stevie Nicks, Gypsy, Mirage, Mr. Wonderful, Black Magic, and Tusk. I love that. So the next doe we have, Chikorita is shown with Stifler, but I know she didn't take that first time because it was like 45 days later. I was so excited. I thought Stifler actually did it. But she recycled. So actually like my next doe is Sayori. and she's crossed with Lunar. So Sayuri is named because of Memoirs of a Geisha. So her brother was Nobu-san, and I know Mark's like, okay.
I'll never. I don't remember names anyways. Yeah. These are
Well, I don't think you've ever watched Memoirs of a Geisha, no. So you wouldn't know. So like, I could do Chiyo, which I did have a Chiyo already, and she sold. So there's Chiyo. I could have Hatsumoto. I could have all kinds of. And Sayuri in Japanese means like little, small lily. So I could actually go like with lilies, like water lily, tiger lily. I could go with like different lily names. But I'm with you. Like, it's fun to have themes. I just try to keep them like with the parentage. So like Lunar is obviously Lunar Howl, Moon, and Screaming. Yeah. So with him,
we got him at the buck.
It was Howl at the Moon.
Yeah.
It was called Howl at the Moon goat show. So
Chia
Pet. I like that actually. I think that would be really cute. And so instead of calling him like Howl at the Moon, we called him Lunar Howl. So it was kind of like a reversal. Instead of moon, we used lunar. So he's got daughters like Moon Maiden and Moon Mouse. So like, I need to not do so much moon.
What's Stifler's full name?
Stiff Sniff.
Yeah.
This breeder, we didn't name him, but like this breeder sometimes, like, it's so funny because like his naming is either like Praise Be, Blessed, or then you go like Stiff Sniff or like Drain My Jewels, which I'm like, we're going to two like very spectrums. We're polar opposites here.
Yeah.
But like we've had really nice compliments at shows for the names that we give our
Purple
goats.
Uzi is always a
Purple
favorite.
Uzi is always a favorite when I take her in. Mo, then a pretty face. We call her Mo, and she is from Missouri. So her papered name is Mo, then a pretty face. And every time I take her to a show and I check her in, they're like, that is a perfect name. I'm like, she's from Missouri. So we're healing MO for Missouri, and we just call her Mo. Which actually, guys, like I caught Mo far enough ahead of time with her kind of like getting ready to slip. She's actually doing a lot better. She's starting to really show good conditioning. She's putting a lot more fleshing over her hide like she should. I think I caught her at the right time when we were doing a lot of our different types of maintenances, like at that 45-day mark for some of those girls. Scratch and Sniff. Hey, Willful Goat Farm and Home. Hi, Ashley.
On a roll with the naming.
Scratch and Sniff. That's a good name. And then like I have Magpie is after Sayuri. Yeah. So that's a bird. So like
I was going to point out that you're going to like Rebecca's question.
Okay, where do you look for info on goat colors?
I got deep into that.
I really love I love genetics and like how phenotypes and genotypes.
Are you on like some page where you guys are like
now on Facebook there is a Nigerian dwarf color genetics page, and Amy York heads that up, and like I've tagged her on several photos. Like, what is this? Now she will say like I either need pictures of like sire and dam of both sides, or unless it's like totally clear, like
because like the parents can help you identify what color.
Oh, absolutely. And there are only like certain color genetics that like they don't technically need to be that color in order to throw them. So like red is really rare. Then there's gray cheek. There's black. Well, black isn't rare, but black is like a double recessive. Like you either have to have a black goat that pairs with another goat that is also black, or a goat that carries a black recessive, or you can have two goats with two different color genetics, but they both carry a black recessive and they create a black offspring. It's crazy. Mom's a buckskin and dad was a Coup Claire. There's combos too. In buckskin with a Coup Claire. That would be really. So Coup Claire is like a reverse buckskin, but Claire means clear. So like the back end will be black and the top end would be like a brown type. If it was Coup Blanc is white. So then the rear end would be like black. Would it be black? Yeah, the rear end would be black, and then it would move into like white, and they would have like the facial markings, and they'd have the leg bars. You could always put it in there, but Coup Claire buckskin combos I think they're difficult to identify, but that's just me. And if you go to that page, if you just search Nigerian dwarf color genetics, like in Google, a whole website will come up and it'll start showing you like combos. And she's got pictures of like goats that actually express those genetics. I really like color genetics
for sure.
Like I really, really like color genetics. Like you can't have a gold goat unless like one of the parents is actually gold.
I can't remember. Sun something.
Oh, Sun Gal.
Yeah, Sun Gal.
Sun Gal. I have 2 or 3 Sun Gals, which I always think they're like a chocolate buckskin until like they lighten up a little bit, and then it's like, oh, here's Sun Gal.
Have you seen some changes they get?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and like some buckskins, like their capes extend as they get older. So by the time they're super old, like not super old, but they're what you would consider like a seasoned, mature animal, like the capes can extend all the way almost to the back and make people think they're something completely different. So you have to really pay attention to like mother and father and like the 2 right behind them too, because sometimes the genetics can pass that far down. She has markings over the eyes, no dorsal leggings. No, so no dorsal leggings. Dorsal leggings are pretty much going to be buckskin. So what does like her front end look like? Is she black on the front end, or is she black on the back end, or how's that? I want pictures. You drop a picture of them in one of my posts on Facebook, because I know you're on my Facebook page, and I can look at it and see. But like, like it is wild, and like some people like really keep track. Yeah, so. Some people really, really keep track of like color genetics, and they're also.
And then you became so dedicated to just the blue eyes too. Like
I didn't become so dedicated to the blue eyes. Shut up.
It always cracks me up. Like she always gets worked up.
I get mad when you're like, do you have any blue-eyed animals? So like I do, but like it doesn't matter that they're blue-eyed.
Don't help
to them it does. And for me, like breeding for at this point quality. Sorry, I'm getting messages like on my phone over here that I have to like turn it over. I'm going to start trying to read them. When you start breeding for quality too, you just stop caring about things like that. Like it's a cherry on top. And I have like a very moon spotted gold doe in there that came out of a blue-eyed siren. I'm like, if you had blue eyes, you'd be a magical being. But she is quality on her own.
The blue eyes are cool, but they really don't help anything.
Like she's one that when I watch her walk, the width between her hocks, I'm just like, that is what I'm going for. Like it is just. I have a couple doelings now where I'm like the width is tremendous, and that's really something I've struggled with in my herd is breeding within,
and we're starting to pick it up. Especially bucks we're bringing in, we're definitely getting some.
Yeah, if anybody out there's spend a crap ton on your bucks, please. Like you can start with almost subpar does
investment in.
And just really pump money into your bucks, because your bucks are going to really improve. It's the same like for roosters or bulls or studs or jacks or anything that you're might be performing husbandry with on your homestead or your farm. Like that is really where you should. Count. Yeah, strong genetic. Well, they're 50%. Like that's your MVP, and you don't want to bench them. That's 50% of your genetic.
It's amazing to see like just generation to generation improvements too. I know you're starting to really see them pop.
And I actually have like a couple of daughters where I'm like, I'm going to throw Lunar back over them, because I'm like, I really like this, and I really am seeing like this consistent type come out of him that I just want to fine tune. That I think I'm going to throw him back, and it's line breeding when it's done right, and when it comes out crazy, it's inbreeding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and their ADGA genetics have enough where you can put in like a planned pedigree and it'll tell you like how inbred it would be. So, or how line bred it would be. Like put line breeding. That's
incest.
Well, I mean, brother, sister, bad. Mother, son, okay. Father, daughter, okay. Brother, sister, bad.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, because the genetics are too close. Like they're too close.
You're gonna run into an issue.
They're too close. But other than that, what we got going on? We had a crazy week last week with Quick Wit.
Yeah.
That video actually, her birth video comes out tomorrow. I'm working. I was just working on the thumbnail. So well, and it is so drawn out. And this is one thing that I hate about YouTube. If you choose to share and be as transparent as I am, I feel like I'm very transparent and I share a lot more than sometimes helps my heart to share, because like right now, like I am editing her birth video. It's uploaded. It's checks have cleared on it. I'm just getting the thumbnail ready for it, but then I have to literally like relive it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to regurgitate what I am thinking or what I have learned or what I am experiencing and why I am doing what I am doing. And also going back and saying, I did this and I really wish I wouldn't have, or I really wish I would have caught it sooner. So like reliving like these types of videos, like it guts me.
Yeah.
Like it
just takes an emotional
toll.
YouTube and the videos is like you have the good moments that you're sharing, but also the bad. And I know that's been tough for you to.
It is
because that one has tough. That one was a roller coaster from the birth to her coming in and then back down again.
Yeah,
it was just
It was a lot. And Haley still licks me and she still cries every time she sees me come in, and she cries for babies still. And quick wit, I took her away that night. I kept giving her visits with her mom in hopes that like they could reunite at some point. And then that last day, I'm like, I cannot keep fluctuating you back and forth in this weather. And I almost feel like that may have done it too, that was selfish of me to try to hope that Haley would end up taking her back instead of me having a full-time bottle baby. I have no problem having full-time bottle babies, but to see a mom that really is such a good mother and wants her baby, it just felt like I was doing something sacrilege taking her kid away from her. And she still cries for her. So it's tough. It's really tough. And I don't have an extra kid to give her. Like if Rosie or Pinky would have had an extra, I absolutely would have given it to her. I would have figured out a way
she's a great mom.
To graft it onto her. Yeah. Rosie has adopted babies before, like just by putting her on the milk stand and putting a baby on her and like letting her get used to that baby. She's a fantastic one. I'm like, I don't care what Rosie does ever in her lifetime. She's just such a good goat. And Haley is kind of the same way. Yeah. Like Haley is a really good goat. It's nice to have
those in your herd too, just to pick up just in case of a tragedy or emergency.
And she's a milk maker and she's done well for me. Haley is not a show goat. She's just not. She prays pretty good. She should be getting her milk star if ADGA will ever catch the freak up. She should be getting her milk star.
Good udder.
She doesn't have a terrible udder. I wish she had a better
she brought a
rear. She brought a squeaker.
If you saw on Facebook, Squeakers got out.
Also on YouTube.
She snuck out and then broke into the house, forced me to feed her animal crackers, and then just left without saying bye.
He looked really forced in the video too, guys. Like
he
looked
right out the door nonchalant, like it didn't matter.
Yeah, I was like, how'd she?
My job is done here.
He's like, oh my God, Squeakers got out. I'm like, which means you open the gate, you let her walk out. Like she
won't let me touch her unless I let her out. She like goes up to the gate and I reach in to pet her, and then she backs up and like it's like, no, you're not allowed touching me until you let me out.
It's a condition for him to have a relationship with her. He has to open the gate in order for her to be friendly. Well, I let her end up clean up grain right now from milking, and she's very spoiled in that way. She is still nursing her kid, though.
Yeah.
I caught it the other day, and he is as big as she is, and she is still nursing her kid from last year.
Taking her to like a milking demo or something, she'd be perfect. She just
goes right up there. She never. Even when she had her C-section, she never once flinched. And that was one where it was amazing because she had a C-section, was not awake for him to be born, and she still accepted him. That's why I'm like, God, Haley's like genetics are so strong in her. Like,
that was cool.
But she's small, so I'm really scared to breed her again. She might just have to be the sweet Squeakers who is just a pet. It didn't help
she had like a huge buck in her though, like just one single.
Really large.
He was like big. Like even the vet was like, man, this.
Yeah, he's like, this is a big kid. This is a big kid. And he's like, I don't know if it's alive. And he came out, he was alive. He was just fine. So Rebecca,
because he was a buck.
Because he was a buck. If he had been a doe, he'd have just withered away and made it really difficult. Rebecca says, I have another question. How normal is it that does are born first than bucklings? Trying to think.
Never really thought about it.
I never really paid attention, but it does seem like bucks come out first.
I feel like
in birth order, is that what you mean?
Because I think it also feels that way too. Because she'll get a buck and then she'll be like, and then all of a sudden the doe come next to perk her
then
up.
The redeeming uterus presents itself,
and I'm
across,
it's never going to be like no.
That's what was so heartbreaking with Haley though. All three of them were does.
You don't get that.
And
probably first time for us.
Well, Avi, her daughter had 2 does.
That's true.
In February and December.
Yeah.
They're beautiful does
not frequent.
Too. They're really, it's really not frequent. Mighty Mouse gave me double does. Babushka gave me double does. I could probably count on one hand how many goats have given me multiple does or all does in their litter. Yes, had a black doeling. Yeah. A lot of my bucks seem like they come out first, like he said, but it's because usually, and I don't know if it's because like they're just bigger, so they just tend to like get sucked down the drain before the little one does. Like they don't circle the drain as much as the doelings do; they just come right out. But like my doelings have been the ones that have been giving me like heart attacks, presentation wise, like head first, breech. Whereas my bucklings have all come out nose and toes in a diving position perfectly. And I'm like, those does really are just making me work so far. And I'm not even in like the thick of things just yet, kidding wise. Born, then here comes her brother. Oh, see, usually for me, I feel like it's bucks first because I feel like I'm always disappointed with the first one, and I'm praying to God. I'm like,
it just
please.
Always feel like
sometimes there are does that come out first. Yeah. I know Pinky she did a buck and a doe, and then Willow, because these are the does that I'm like, I really want does out of you. So like I really can remember those births. Others where I was like, I don't know what kind of an animal you are yet in production or performance. So I wasn't as like my want was not as weighted. But like I know Willow was always bucks first and then the doelings, and Pinky has always been the buck first and then the doe. She was bigger. Oh, well, good for you, because most of my does are not bigger than the buck. Wow. I can count. Actually, Haley's kid, Avi, who is milking now, who was born 2 years ago, was the biggest in her litter of 3 with 2 other bucks. And she was last born. She was the last born, but she was the biggest. And I was like, dang, that's different. Because usually does are not as big. You can tell that
strength is carried on. She looks really good this
year.
She
is. She's very promising. She's taken me 3 months of wrestling to get her to not kick or fight me. Like, and Mark has come in where he could probably tell I'd been cussing before he came in. Like that I was throwing things and I was cussing because he would walk in. I'm like, and he's like, is everything okay? I'm like, we just finished smoking.
Yeah.
And we're alive, but I'm like pouring sweat, or I just look really disheveled. And the goat is like, she's fine now. Definitely. I just have found like I have to approach her almost in like a ceremonial type way. Like I have to touch her the same way every time. If I don't, she's like, wait a second, what are we doing? But she is getting a lot better. Like I know, like I have to approach when I'm washing the udder one way and then the other way for drying. And I keep my hand on the udder drying while I'm getting the inflations ready with the other hand. And as soon as the rag comes off, the inflation goes on. And she's fine. If there's any break or I do it differently, like we fight or she kicks. So it's just, I have a lot of does this year too. They're not kicking their kids off.
Yeah.
And they're scabbing my does teats. Like there's damage to the teats because the kids are voracious eaters and the does are not kicking them off. And I don't know if that's because like it was colder when I kidded. So I kept them in a more confined space where they couldn't get away from their kids. Or if they were first fresheners, like, I just love you and I want to feed you regardless of whether it hurts me or not. Because it's only on my first fresheners that I have damaged udders. All my older does are like, been there, done that. You're not going to do that to me. So, hey, Flo, what's up? Yvonne says, typically, how many kids do they have? So for Nigerians, they have the biggest litters. The record for Nigerians is 7 live children. 7 live kids.
They're like children.
Yeah,
over here.
It's more common to have like twins and triplets than it is to have a single. Like singles are pretty common in first fresheners, but quads are uncommon. Actually, for the years that we've had Haley, it's been quads, triplets. This year, I really thought she had quints, but I did learn something with her losing all of her kids. Like, and if you guys haven't followed Facebook, and I'm ruining videos for you, I am really sorry, but it's called a hydroamnios, because when she had her water break, I was watching her on the camera and water literally shot out the back. Like I could tell she was kickstanding and she was getting ready to start laboring. And then when water shot out, I was like, oh crap, like we are like in the throes. And then when I came out again, it was like her water burst a second time and so much amniotic fluid came out.
I remember you noticed that
it was like, it sounded like someone turned on a faucet and was just running it in the stall. And now that I'm editing the video, when she's pushing, there's way too much fluid every time that she pushes. And I didn't notice it like when I was like trying to pull kids or resuscitate or do anything. Yeah. hydroamnios presents in ruminants. It's more common in cattle. But I actually started looking at it because I saw another breeder that said I had a doe that both of the kids drowned in the womb because she had so much amniotic fluid. I thought for sure that Haley was going to have 4+ because she was as big as she has ever been. She was very miserable, but it makes sense now because she probably had like way too much amniotic fluid.
Because that second one, when we
that
were second
one, I know it gave an agonal breath. And I could have sworn it moved its head, but in the same time, like you're pulling, you're trying to get things like cleaned off. Like I may have perceived a movement where it wasn't there, but the eyes were open and I tried getting as much fluid out and we didn't get anything out of her until Marky started like really full on swinging. Like you guys won't even be able to see it in the frame because he got out of the stall because he needed that much room to swing her. And so much fluid came out of her little lungs, like
slinging.
And I noticed, like,
I was
for her,
because I've swung them before, and it was uncommon.
He swung it. We've never gotten that much to come out when we swing animals like that, which is only when we're trying to clear airways, guys. We don't just like pick them up.
Gives them a bit of a wake up too.
It does. It kind of startles them awake. But I also noticed too, like in the video, like as I'm kind of like patting the rib cage to try to kickstart, like the first one wasn't formed all the way. Like she was pretty close to term, but not at term. And the second one, and her eyes were glassy, like already like gray, already filmed over.
I kept saying it was like brain dead.
Yeah, not that one. It was the first one.
Oh,
the first one. Her eyes were already going white. You know, like when something's been dead for a while, like the eyes glass over and they get like a gray like film over them. Her eyes looked like that, and I noticed like her body was watery. So I was like, ooh, that feels weird. Like that's not usually how they feel. They don't feel like this full of water. And the second one felt the same way. And it was like it was brain dead. Eyes were open and the heart was beating because I was constantly like, and he felt it too. Like it never took a breath on its own, but the heart beat for probably 10 minutes. Like no joke. We worked on her the entire time.
Yeah.
And then the other one was stuck and I had to go in and fish her out. You'll get to see all of this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm spoiling anything, but you'll get to see all of my frustration and almost tears because like I don't think like I've ever been that emotional during a birth. And I don't think you can really pick it up in my voice, but I know like I was in full panic mode and like almost in tears because I'm like, I cannot believe like this is a nightmare birth. Like I've not had a birth this bad in a really, really long time.
Yeah. Fortunately, Haley pulled through.
Haley pulled through and she's a trooper and she's milking like a gem. She's such a good girl. Yeah. I'll probably breed her for November again. And I didn't do a necropsy before anybody asks because with hydroamnios, they just have a lot of amniotic fluid. They either almost make it to term and are not viable. They come out maybe viable, but because of all of the liquid, they probably breathed it in the womb without meaning to, and they drown because there's so much fluid.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one, I really don't feel like Quick had everything on the inside right. The way that she acted, so that they say that congenital defects that affect digestive system, which we will talk about that when we get to that video. I don't really want to talk about it right now, but it just, everything kind of fits like those brackets for hydroamnios when it comes to how this birth went. I've never experienced it before, but now I know too, like if I ever have a doe that is leaking that much amniotic fluid, like we don't wait. We lube up and we go in and we get them right away because that second one, I might've been able to save her if I'd have just not had let her labor. She labored correctly and it wasn't a slow labor.
Yeah.
But I think it was too slow to save that second one. So sorry, I got a little talk.
Rebecca there. Down there said the boy is destined to be a weather years till day 2 and now they're normal ears till day 2. Now they're floppy. Oh, makes them cute. I bet it does.
It does. Yeah. Sometimes they'll come back, but sometimes I've noticed like if they get frostbite, like they'll go floppy and it'll get really hard and they'll lose all their hair and then that skin will die and slough off.
Who do we have that happen?
I actually had that happen on Bright Eyes.
That's what it was.
Bright Eyes, because I was like, why is it so hard here? And then like within a couple of weeks, I was like, you're losing hair and it's white. I'm like, you got frostbite, and the skin did slough off.
Yeah.
I had that more so in boars because of long ears in water buckets in the wintertime would frostbite them. I had my doe drown in fluid. I had to flip her upside down. And so, yeah, we did that. She frog position, slung her everything. She just not viable.
Yeah.
It took me an hour to get her lungs clear out, even with the bulb syringe. Wouldn't clear her up. Yeah. We have like the lamb resuscitator. You guys have seen it in the video. Like it like literally for Nigerians, because like that, it sucks their entire head in. And I just keep going because I'm like, this is definitely pulling something out.
Still
it was pulling a ton out. And the bulb, she never showed really good signs of life, or we would have probably been able to clear her up and just given her maybe some like new Floradraxin to help clear up those lungs with a rattle. But she just never. I think she just had way too much fluid for too long in there.
Yep.
It was my first birth. Thankfully, I watched a lot of goat homesteads to know what to do. She would have died. I couldn't reach the vet. Yeah. And that's why I think it's important for people to like really watch as many people as they can and take notes and not get stuck in this person does it this way. So that's how I have to do it, because literally if I'd have done that, I would have a lot more dead stock than I do livestock, because like literally you just pull things from all different types of sources and put them like in the back of your mind, because it's like, I might have to actually pull on this. And if you have people that have goats around you, it's even better, because like I throw things at his sister all the time. She throws things at me. I have other people that I reach out. Hey, what would you have done in this situation?
You went the other night to a house.
I went down to a house. I ultrasounded her animals for pregnancy. They said, we've got one that they induced. Didn't agree with the induction, but not my animal. Not going to tell them what they should or shouldn't do with their level of inexperience. But went down there, said the head's down. We can't get it out. I'm like, try to do this. I'm like, stay really calm. If you don't have a kid puller, like get rubbing alcohol and twine and like, lube up, try to sterilize that as much as you can so that you can loop something around a leg or a head so you can get everything situated. And about 10 minutes later, she's like, I am outside of my comfort zone. And it was like, okay. I was like, yeah, give me 10 minutes to grab my stuff and I'll be down there. And by the time I got there, she'd gotten it out by herself and the kid was just fine. But it's one of those things where it's nice to have somebody on the back burner if you're like, I can't get it out. I mean, for me at this point, the vet, I have a good relationship with my vet. So if it ever gets to that point where I can't manipulate it enough, like I know we're probably looking at a C-section because if I can't get my hand in, odds are he can't get his hand in. And if we can't get it repositioned with just kind of like moving things without going all the way in, we're looking at a C-section, which I'm trying to breed girls that are wider so that I don't have that problem. Because I probably have a handful that I can get my hand in and others where I'm like, and I don't feel like I have manly hands, but I don't feel like I have like real dainty womanly hands, which matters when
in between hands.
They're like, they're okay hands.
Good hands for you.
They're not masculine, but they're not feminine. They get the job done for me. He was born on a warm night. It was, and he has till he's 12 weeks old. Yeah. Even warm nights though, like it depends on what warm is for you. Cause I know like Bright Eyes was 50 degrees with the heat lamp and her ears still frostbit. So sometimes it still happens. It's just because of like moisture, but if he's got floppy ears, most bucks don't need to keep their balls anyways. Like, let's just be really honest. Like they really don't. Like I feel the same way about most buck goats that I do about most male people, where I'm like, you don't need to pass on genetics. Like there should be a select few that are allowed to pass on genetics, because like half of them aren't worth the stuff they're made of. So in bucks, there's so many out there. Like for every good buck that's out there, there's probably 10 subpar bucks for a really good buck. So I'm with you on weathering.
Yeah.
Do you ever save any bucklings to breed for you? Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Actually, I have Tater out there and Tavor are my breeding. And actually Taki, who is out there, is half of my breeding. So that's one of his sister's does that Lunar bred, that she's just stellar. Like she's outstanding. And Lunar comes from outstanding stock. So like I wanted that buck. Now Tavor and Tater share a dam, and Tavor shares a sire I already have here, whereas Tater shares a sire off premises that it marks off the boxes for things that I lack in my herd. So Tavor will probably be moved for that reason, and we'll keep Tater on. I have Taki bred Dreamer. I might keep that buck. But also I have Stifler. So like you just kind of look. Well, we're going to build over there.
Yeah, true.
We are. We'll have a bigger buck pen. See, he's in. You see what happens?
We did
He's
get some new
enabling.
land to build
He's
a buck pen,
enabling.
so.
Yeah, we do have that new 2 acres that butts up to our 13. So I think we're talking about maybe putting a barn that kind of is on this property. It faces that property. Because it's deeded separately. We don't have it all as one piece. So I worry too about that, like for selling at some point if you ever sold. I don't ever plan to sell. I just told them when I die, just like bury me somewhere on the property so we get the tax break. So like you don't have to pay property taxes in the compost pile. So I can feed the plants. And you get the tax break. Or just like put me in the garage or put me down in the basement and just bulldoze the whole place in, and that's just where I'm staying. I don't ever plan to leave. I don't plan to leave. I really don't. I have no one. Thankfully, I have you guys to answer questions because and we're always here. You can find us pretty much anywhere, like on Facebook or I put Nightbot on the screen. Thanks, Nightbot, for pushing the soaps. But you can always ask us, and even if it's not here, like on Facebook. It was, I think, 50-ish in the barn with the heat lamp. Yeah. You never know. And he could just have floppy airplane ears. Mm-hmm. And I'm with you. Like, there are too many good bucks out there that are probably similar and have the right type of ears. He just doesn't need to keep his testicles. I had a good buck. I bought a crappy buck and sold him, so I'm back to square one.
Hey, we've been there. Yeah. Like our first buck we bought had really good bloodlines, but ended up being
a dud. Yeah. He was too old, and I feel like they knew.
Yeah,
they knew, and they didn't tell me. I never got. Guy. He was super sweet, but like never got any babies off of him. And then I had a subpar buck that bred a few, and actually Pinky's buckling actually with her being raised as high as she is and doing as well as she has, like that was just dumb luck that he was actually Dragonfly. That's actually where was it Tempting Willows? Poseidon. It was Tempting Willows. Dragonfly is a good line. I really like Dragonfly. Mm-hmm. She's a hoot on Facebook. She will just tell you what she thinks of things, and she does not care. Shooter. She has been in it for a long time, and she has her set like style that she breeds for Nigerians, and she doesn't mind telling you what she thinks of those other goats in the ring if they're not of similar style. But Dragonfly animals are really good. Actually, like Pollen Ridge in Michigan have a ton of Dragonfly animals in their stock. They brought RZ Acres in too. Their stock's pretty good. They actually did pretty good at nationals for being such a young herd. He was too young but abusive. Yeah.
Yvonne said you sound like me. What the staying on the land?
You're just like bury me in the land. Don't spend money. Just dig a hole. I'm okay. The Lord will call me back and it'll be fine. Like I'm not worried about it.
There's some peace in knowing that though. Like, hey, we're happy here. We build our infrastructure from the ground up.
Yeah, so we've watched lots of people move and do all the things like from like friends and family, and I'm like, I have no want. I have no want whatsoever.
Help them, but
but then helping people move is enough for me to be like, I'm never doing this.
We got
like
too much
we helped his mom and dad move this last time they moved. And then
Mom, you have too much stuff. You're still in here.
I heard about it for a while. Between him and his brother, like, don't you ever move again.
Now, just for context, my mom's house is like an antique mall. Like a lot of antiques.
She has her own style. Yeah. She has her own style.
Kept us busy, huh?
Practice ended early. Go get her.
Okay. Bye. All right.
Bye. Sorry. Why did it end in an hour and 15? Sorry, Joe's at softball practice. So she just sent us a message like practice ended early. And I'm like, well, why didn't they end it early? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I don't have anyone. Yeah, Ashley's there. I think I could handle moving it. I don't know how you're doing it because you guys wear me out just like thinking about putting a new. Now, there are good things about that where it's like all the things that I don't like about my barn, I could then build a new barn and improve upon. But the whole building it up part is just like makes me feel sick to my stomach. I know how many weekends we took building like lofts and stalls and putting in fencing. And you guys have just recently done that with your property. I don't know how you're doing it. Like, I think I would pull my hair out, or I'd be like, I'm just taking out a huge loan and I'm paying people to put in fencing. I can't do it. I just don't feel like I'm young enough to do it anymore. And we were downstairs the other night, like looking at all of his stuff, like in his workbench and all the soaping stuff. And I'm like, we have so much crap. Like, I just do not think I could ever stomach moving. I always loved your mom's. Her house is really cute. Like Gloria's house is amazing, and it makes me always come back and look at my house. I'm like, oh, I need to try harder because my house is like we're getting ready to repaint the kitchen. I don't think we're gonna keep it red, but we're getting ready to do some things in our house. But even that stresses me out. I have a hard enough time keeping like the barn somewhat clean, and it's a barn, so the house stresses me out. How do you know and find good genetics? Is it only at shows you find the right genetics? I think like really exposing yourself to good breeders, going to shows and seeing what they have, but like shows aren't the only thing, because like a lot of dairy goats, you'll have like a couple houses of breeders who are like, it's all in linear appraisals, or it's all in milk in the pail, or it's only the show record. Whereas like, I really think to be well-rounded in all of those is desirable, because high linear appraisal scores don't mean that you're going to have a very high producing doe. And it also doesn't mean that doe is going to go in and kill everybody else in the show ring. I mean, and honestly, like shows and things like that, it's a judge's opinion on that day of that animal, depending on like, did they feel all the way? Are they feeling good? Are they acting right? Are they walking correctly? So I think just having a good knowledge of like what you're looking for and knowing a general type. So if you find like a breeder that you really like their stock because they produce milk, or they look healthy, they kind of hit the scorecard. If you go to the American Dairy Goat Association, look at like the unified scorecard, it'll tell you what they're looking for like good dairy goats. And a lot of judges use that scorecard in order to kind of place. They don't have it in front of them. They just, by memory, they know. Ashley from the Wolfville Goat Farm and Home can tell you she's an ADGA judge, and the training that they go through sounds grueling. And I know that she's talked about people leaving in tears because it's very, very serious and people put a lot of stock in it. But I think it's just being around it and understanding like what a good animal is, and realizing that that is also subjective, because there are some animals that I've seen go into a ring where I'm like, that is not the style of goat that I like. I don't like what I'm looking at here. You just kind of learn to build off of your own style. Like even the styles from like Ashley Wolfville Goat to my barn are two different styles. I don't think I have an eye for style yet, or I have my own style. I'm kind of letting my good bucks drive that. And I pick good bucks because the mother comes from a really well-known farm who has national winners in her barn. The linear appraisals were high. I have seen what she does at shows, and I know that she can produce milk, because in order to like have a good show fill, they have to produce milk. To grow good kids, they have to produce good milk. So those are just kind of the things. Right genetics is subjective. It just really depends on like what you're actually looking for. I know tons of people that just breed for blue eyes and moon spots, because then it's easy to sell offspring. And those are the people that are the bane of my existence. If you're in this chat, I'm really sorry. It just makes it hard for those of us that are trying to create like quality dairy goats, because Nigerians have come an extremely long way in a short amount of time, because you have just so many breeders that are all about improving the breed. But then because of like how small they are and how small of a footprint they provide on homesteads and farms, and the variety of colors and patterns and eye color that they can have, like it also sets them up to be like a fad. Because like you can have a lot of little goats and they have blue eyes and they're really pretty, but like they might have like tic-tac teats and they don't produce good milk, or they're not good mothers. They have terrible feet and they don't have a great top line, all of which are as explained like in the unified scorecard as to why those are important parts of the goat. Because dairy goats, you're looking for longevity and you're looking for productivity. The longer they live and the more productive they are, the better of a dairy goat they have the ability to be. Nobody wants to put a ton of money into something that breaks down at the age of 4 and does not produce well. I mean, just as a production animal, that's kind of like a rule of thumb. I dread it, but keep telling ourselves it will be the last time. I hope it is, because it just makes me feel so stressed for you. I don't know how you like do it either, because you just seem like you're handling it all very well. It's a good motivator to declutter. I really need to declutter, but I'm not going to move to do it. I don't know. Marky says I have too much stuff, but I don't feel like I have that much stuff, Ashley. I think he's crazy. I have a blue-eyed and moon-spotted buckling, not polled though, so it's not a unicorn. I have my first pulled doe in the barn though. So I'm like excited. She's not going to have moon spots and she's not going to have blue eyes out of her kids. But and then Marky was like, we don't really want like more than like a couple pulled animals. Like, dude, shut up. Like, I don't want to disbud. I just disbudded 3 kids like this week and I really hate disbudding. I know there's still a possibility that I will have to disbud, even though that she is pulled. And I didn't ultrasound her, Ashley. I said like yesterday I was going to ultrasound her, and then I didn't. I have 4 or 5 that I need to ultrasound really, but I mean, it'll get done eventually, or she'll just have kids, and then I'll be like, yeah, see, she was bred. What would be max output for a first freshener? My one doe can do 16 ounces easy. So when you milk test, they do it in pounds. 16 ounces easy. Is that like at a 12-hour fill? Is that also while she's feeding her kids? Like, what is that? And also you can go onto the American Dairy Goat Association and look up their elite list or top 10 animals, and they will tell you like in weight, how much milk they produced, how many pounds of protein they produce, how many pounds of butter fat, because those are the 3 indicators for milk testing. Now you can get a milk star, which you can get a milk star basically by hitting that qualification in any one of the 3 classes, whereas I think an AR star for advanced registry requires more VT tests. You have to be in milk for at least 240 days, 8 tests, and they have to hit maybe 2 out of 3 or all 3 of those things. So I know like for a first freshener, 660 pounds, I think is like 600-ish pounds for a first freshener is what they want them to hit in order to get a milk star. 16 ounces is not bad. Like, it's really not. I'm trying to think. Like, my best first freshener, she produced 4 pounds in a 24-hour. So that I felt like that was pretty good because, like, what is it? Is 3 pounds a quart, Ashley, or 3 pounds a half gallon? I can't remember like how much is what. I just know I have to weigh it and then put it on the paper and send it off. And just keep milking through until we get to a point where they either hit it in butter fat, protein. And honestly, like, my does seem like they skyrocket when they start weaning their own kids for butter fat. Like, my butter fat goes way up when they start weaning kids, and like the overall weight goes down, but their butter fat skyrockets. And I've actually had 2 does that hit it in butter fat, even though like I'm like, they're not going to make it in weight, but they had just very, very fatty milk, which is wonderful. Wonderful. Where I had a couple this last month. I think it was Avi or Rapunzel that hit like 6 or 7% in butter fat, which is great. You always want your butter fat in milk test to be higher than protein, or if it's not, then it's called an inversion, and we have to do dietary changes to make sure that the fat stays above the protein levels. Quart is 2.086. See, there you go. 86 is a gallon, I think. Yeah. So she was like right at 4 pounds for her overall as a 2-year-old first freshener. And she was she 2 or was she 1? I can't remember how old she was. She was maybe 1.5. I feel like she was one of the first ones. She kidded last November, and she made 3.5 to 4 pounds, somewhere in there. And I was really happy with that for a first freshener. So I don't have any galloners, and I don't know many Nigerian dwarfs that will give a gallon in a 24-hour period. I've seen some get pretty close. I don't know. Maybe there was one I saw that was 11 pounds. I can't remember. That 11 pounds seems ridiculous. I don't think that's right. Yeah, quart 2.086. So like that's really what you're looking at. But honestly, if you go to the American Dairy Goat Association webpage and look up top 10 or elite does, like, it'll give you their stats. And those are verified, tested. So like that means that not just the owner sampler took it. They had like a certified tester come in and test those animals. When I have my VT, because I'm only on a plan where I do it like 1 time a year. If all of my girls fall in the right time, they're not this year because I have them so spread out, because verification tests have to happen between 90 days and 150 days in lactation. And I'm going to have some that miss it. So I'll probably end up having a verification tester come 2 to 3 times this year. But then like, I literally just bring them in and hook them up and make sure everything is clean. I don't touch the milk. I don't weigh the milk. I don't have the samples. She takes my sample vials with her, so there's no tampering whatsoever. And I kind of like how that goes. You know, Then there's no worry that you tampered or that someone was dishonest. And honestly, like at that point, if you're going to be on elite or top 10, like you really do have to remove where someone can kind of tamper with things, because not everybody is an honest person. And those accolades equal money for your stock. It really does. It equals money when it comes to how much you can charge for your animals and the accolades that you have in your barn. She's feeding 2 dullings. That's being separated for 4 hours and 16 ounces is not bad. How far into lactation is she? Because she'll peak like around 60 to 75 days. And then she'll either level out or she'll start to go back down. I have does that they just try to wean way faster than I would really like them to. Avi's trying to wean way faster, but I also think that's because we have not a good milk stand relationship. So I honestly think that has affected her production because of the stress that it causes her. But that's okay. I'm still going to milk her through as long as I can, regardless of like what she gives me, because I want to encourage her to be a good milker and to have better milk stand. And some people will tell you like however long you can get a first freshener to milk through, like sets the stage for how good of a milker she's going to be in the future. I don't know how much weight I put to that, but I've heard several breeders mention they push their first fresheners hard because they want them to be good milkers throughout. Have you liked using Milkmaker? Thinking of, so I've used Milkmaker for two years, but I always mix it with meat and milk because Milkmaker is more expensive and I am a frugal franny. Like the amount of goats I have now and what I'm feeding is freaking me out. So I use it to cut because there's only like 1 or 2% in protein that's off. And then for some of my milkers that I feel like need more protein, like they might get like a handful of calf manna and they might get Dine or like a handful of Django, get down off my new couch, get down. Or they might get shredded beet pulp to kind of help with that. But I like Milkmaker. My goats don't seem to like care one way or the other, which is in there, but I mix it pretty good. What do you typically feed your does? Girls are randomly starting to be picky lately. They barely eat, just nitpicking, just to eat enough to be starving. So I change grain. It's frustrating. So I stick with Kalmbach, and there's so much competition in my pen for feed. Like I don't find them being picky. I find that I get like picky kids. Like the January kids that I have, they don't like the sunflower seeds in there, which is fine. They like everything else, but they don't like the sunflower seeds. So like in the mornings, all that's left is sunflower seeds. But I literally go and just take that and give that to my milkers because the extra calcium and protein is good for them. So I don't feel like they're really picky, but I use Kalmbach, and what I feed is Kalmbach Milkmaker, Kalmbach Milk and Meat. They get alfalfa pellets, they get sunflower seeds. If they're really good and I think they need it, they get beet pulp shreds. They might get a small amount of calf manna. And if they're battling calorically to keep good flesh on them, they'll get some Dine. But Dine is expensive. Dine is just like higher in fat. It should be good for them. And my goats literally love it, but it tastes good. Like I had it on my fingers and was like, I wonder what this tastes like. And it tastes good. Marky says we're on our way home. Okay, Marky, thanks for listening, being supportive all the way out there. Oh, she had them on the 16th of February. So she's only about 2 weeks fresh. She should do better as she keeps going. I'd be interested to see what she does. Do you milk test, Rebecca? If you don't, with her already making like 16 ounces for 4 hours being separated, that's really not bad. I would probably test her, or at least like separate her for 12 hours and do like a weighing. Just weigh it, put it on a scale and see what she's throwing down for you. And usually like I'll start doing 12-hour separations at about 3 weeks. 3 weeks, I feel like they can handle it, and they're already starting to take a bottle for me well enough that like I know they're not going to starve. And then milk test day, if they don't already take a bottle, they learn to take a bottle that day. I don't have many refusing bottles after a full 24 hours of milk testing. He's taking advantage of you being occupied. Yeah. Pretty much. The girls don't like the beet pulp. I have some that don't like it either, but like I said, there's so much competition. So in like a pan, I might have 4 or 5 does and they're all scarfing. If someone, and I can tell those does because they end up not being as thrifty because they take their time. Like Mo takes her time and she'll sift through and their body condition scores go down faster than the ones that are actually like eating everything. He was up on the couch. Marky just walked in. He's like, was he on the couch? Yes, he was. But I don't really see them being super picky. Even like my does up on the stand realize like this is their time to really capitalize on getting all the food that they possibly can to themselves without having to rush. So like I don't have too many of mine that are really picky.
This segment brought by Goat Fuel.
Goat Fuel. Who's on it? Muhammad Ali?
Yeah, I got him on there too. It's funny they call it Goat Fuel now.
Oh, you submitted an order, Yvonne? Well, thank you. I will get that filled out and sent to you tomorrow.
I'm interested to see what scent she got.
I know, me too. I love like seeing what people pick.
It always cracks me up when we're at a show and she's like, someone asking like about different scents. And she's like, what's your scent profile?
And they get so puffed.
Yeah.
People get really puffed. I'm like, what kind of a scent profile do you have? They're like,
profile.
Well, I kind of like earthy. Like fresh, like I know what you would like
floral,
these, or I want
bakery,
something masculine.
Yeah.
I want something like I want to smell like a baked cake. Have that over here. Not what I would really want to wash in, but you can have that. Haven't done yet. This is our first. Okay, slow, because I did like a year where I picked
about the milk testing, which has been extensive.
Oh my! But I'm going to tell you, it is such a good tool.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have made cuts for my herd based on milk tests. We've caught asymptomatic mastitis before it was a thing because of milk tests. It helps me, because people ask me like, how do you know how much butterfat's in there? I'm like, because I actually send it off to a lab monthly to have it tested.
They tell us,
and I know how much butterfat on average is in my milk, so I can tell you how much.
Does it help you a lot with deficiencies? Knowing if something isn't deficient?
Not so much. Like I feel like if you wanted to find out if they were deficient, you'd actually have to run like a mineral panel based off of blood
tests. Yeah, and I was just wondering if there was anything like you saw higher protein or anything.
And that would be when you've got a goat that like you don't know if they're copper deficient or they're going through copper toxicity because the symptoms are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Goats are fickle animals. They really, really are. Mine lose their minds for people. I know you say that in your lives every morning, and I'm like mine don't really like care. But then again, like they're like the junior does this week have stopped being fed separately because I've got kids that are over on that side with dams now, and I'm like,
maybe
this
she's
is
got
theirs.
Different beet pulp than you.
Well, you get it from Matt, don't you? Because if
she gets
if she gets it from Matt, then it's the same.
She gets the enriched beet pulp.
I just bought, because you raved about it though. I did get beet pulp yesterday because I'm like, oh, I'll just start throwing it in because like Gwen needs to put on some weight, and I just would rather see like if it will help Avi produce more.
Is it like a replacement or a good substitute for like calf manna, or is it?
No, it's really fibrous. But you
okay.
can also like soak it too. It just kind of helps. Ashley, explain beet pulp. Because like I'm not good with that stuff. It's got extra fiber and it's mineral.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty mineral dense. Like beets for them are good. Beet pulp is just like dried beets that have been shredded.
Yeah, I've seen the consistency. Yeah. I just didn't know if it
it's
helped
real
with weight.
I don't like mix. I sometimes when I mix my feed though, like I'll put alfalfa, sunflower seeds, and the beet pulp all together. But the amount of dust that comes off of that beet pulp and mixing, I almost can't do it. So I've just left it by itself. And I just throw in handfuls with whoever I want.
The alfalfa when you put them in.
She doesn't?
Alfalfa pellets. She like eats around them.
Well, that's why she's a skinny little mini. She's not eating your alfalfa. Yes. She is not as thick as she should be. No. She's still nursing, Ashley. She's still nursing her weather from last year.
Ashley caught her.
I came in the other day and she stood up and he ran under her and started nursing. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm like, I've got girls I'm begging to keep milk like from December, and this little cow is over here trying to feed her kid from like last April.
Yeah.
2 of my girls, I love their udders. My last girl, well, she's her max with 2 kids on hers. Give her some grace until you get those kids off of her. That's really where I start. When I can get them off for 12 hours, that's when I start making decisions. And udder texture is a big deal, and teat size is a big deal. Like I don't love Avi's udder texture, but she also doesn't have a ton of capacity yet. But her teat placement and her medial is really nice. And she is socked on. Like if she keeps those attachments, she's going to be a contender as a 3 to 4 year old. Like I expect really big things out of her. But right now I'm just like, I can tell you're a Lunar daughter because I can see the dam structure in her. Her grand dam structure is all like, it's just stamped on that udder. Goodness, where do you find all these places to do this stuff with your does? Maybe it's because I don't have Facebook. If you don't have Facebook, you live on another planet. Yeah, sometimes it does.
There is
feel
a lot
that
of
way.
good support communities. I know
There are a lot of support communities on Facebook.
But there's also a lot of bad information. I know
that you have to vet because it's just people can just spew whatever they want.
Yeah, and that's across all spectrums.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, goats, I have interests. I go on there and they're completely off base.
Marky will be like,
really
can you believe like this person is saying this? I'm like,
but I will be honest, like if you get a good community in there, you really have
mm-hmm.
a gold mine of information and wealth that can help you.
Well, and like for me, I learned about milk testing through Blue Cactus Dairy Goats on YouTube because she mentioned a 1-day milk test and that they could get stars and that stars were accolades and stars like helped her build her herd and to kind of put like a little bit of a, I don't know, like a legitimacy to it, even though you don't have to do any of the things to have goats and enjoy goats and have productive goats that do all the things. You don't have to go to shows. You don't have to do linear appraisals. You don't have to milk test. If you're happy with your girls milking for you and just enjoying having goats, God bless your soul. I almost wish I was still at that level because like the higher you get, the more stressful it can get sometimes.
But like you said, like going to shows though, like, I mean, it's all goat talk there when you go. And that's where you get people just talking about what they do. And they will tell you like,
this worked for me, you know.
This failed because of this. And
I've had people come up and say, you have this line in your herd, don't you? Like this genetic is in your herd. I'm like,
well, my sister, when she goes and judges, she can tell what farm some of the goats are from just because of the
there are like
genetics
certain types
are so strong.
Like, and there are certain judges where like I have a friend where she buys a lot of what is it? Oh, I can't remember it now. They're Florida, and Winning Streak. I really would like to buy some Winning Streak animals. And this judge, like, and they don't see papers before you go in there. Papers are only whipped up and out like when you're confirming like grand champions and reserve grand champions. She consistently picks Winning Streak animals because Winning Streak breeds the certain type and style of animal that she likes. I know if there's any Winning Streak animals, they're probably going to place ahead of me because that's like that judge just
new buck,
tends to go towards
from
them.
Agape's Prize. He looks different than the rest of
there
our
are just lots of different styles too. I think that's why like when people ask like, how do you know what a good goat is? I'm like, there are actually lots
his face looks a lot different.
Who?
Stiff. Yeah.
Overall, like my mom walked in and my mom doesn't know anything about dairy goats. She's like, this one looks different. I'm like, that's because that's a really good goat.
Yeah.
Like he comes from a really good breeder. I really like a lot of things from him. He just has a different look. Lunar has a different look, but those are two different barns that compete on a national level that have two different styles and two different goals. Yeah. And you can kind of see that. So that's why you pick from like barns like that kind of like exude a little bit of everything. And you mesh it together and create your own style. Yeah. Like I said, I don't know what style I have yet. I know I'm seeing consistency from Lunar.
What is your goat profile?
What is my goat profile? I don't have to try to run after it to go in the milk stand and it gives me lots of milk. And all doe kids. Yeah. That's my milk. That's my goat profile. I don't have a lot of those on hand just yet. Farms. Hello, like MB Heritage Farm. How are you? I know. I'm sorry. I'm talking goats, so I'm getting really far behind.
That's sweet.
It's sweet with molasses. Mine are fatties. They'll skip the pellets for it.
The beet.
I didn't realize the beet pulp had molasses in it. Yeah, mine don't go crazy for it. But like I said, like when they're all in a pan, like nobody's picking through. Everybody's taking mouthfuls that they can get and running with it. Some of mine withhold the milk for the at this point, like because Rapunzel's buck is gone and because Haley knows there's no kids on her, they don't withhold. Like I'm milking them down to like lovely, fleshy little udders. But like Avi holds back a little bit, and I don't think Gwen would hold back. But because I want Gwen to grow her kids, I don't take everything from her just yet. And I'm happy to say that all of my wethers are sold or leaving by the middle of March. I'm ecstatic. Except for like Pinky and Rosie's new bucklings, which they're
But you
too
really
young to
haven't
do anything with.
Marketed yet
I'm
either.
selling 2 as for 4-H wethers, and 1 goes with a pet doeling because she is as runty as runt can get, and she does not have anything to offer me here. If you're local, Flo, we're having a show. Yes, Flo, you should, but you're south, aren't you? We are having a show, but if you can go to shows, sometimes those are really, and that's a good place to kind of like find breeders that have good animals, or that you just like, I don't know, just like kick it off with them, because it's like they're just good people, and you like them, and they're willing to be mentors.
Just
sometimes
the
like
stock there is
observing the stock, but like
sometimes
the breeders will get rid of animals that are stellar for homestead and beginners, whereas for their breeding program, it's like I have too many that are close or better. So it's a really good animal, but it's just not. It's not their caliber.
For a much more reasonable price.
Well, we were talking to
just to see it to go to a good home.
Where I bought Lunar from. We were talking to her. She's like, I sell Grand Champions non-paper to people with homesteads, because like I literally at a really good price, because I don't want those genetics going on and being abused. They're no longer doing anything really for me. I need to make room in my barn. She's like, I sell them for cheap, and I don't sell them with papers. And I'm like, well, God bless your soul, because you're given. That's where like for homesteads with Nigerians, I wish they would go, because I'm like, the confirmation is there. The production is there. They just don't have papers. We need more of those animals in the homesteading community, because like then the minis get a bad rap because people don't breed them for the correct purpose, for the purposes that I see to be correct. My viewpoint is not the only viewpoint. People do what they want. You like, Crystal is just I like Crystal. Yep. I just think she's a really good person.
MD Heritage is talking about too, BC.
Yeah. Blue Cactus Dairy Goods. Lots of folks love her. Yeah. She's where I first started watching people make soap and everything. She's just really down to earth. I like her. I like Danelle from Weedham and Reap. She just started getting into the competitive side of goats like 2 to 3 years ago. She's got Wolfovin bloodline. She's pulled in quite a few different. I think she's got an RZ Acres. She's pulled in quite a few, like really
got some good quality.
Yeah, she's pulled in quite a few nice animals from several different barns. But I like her too. Was just going to type winning streak. Our local county fair judge recognized nutmeg from. Yeah, like those animals, like the barns that you buy from that are established, like people know what their goats look like. Yes, I see your goats have a beautiful, unique look. Then I lucked out with only 2 bucklings, 4 doelings out of 3 Yes, you did luck out.
Rub it in, Rebecca.
I always get. I'm like, I'm a little sour in the craw over my buck to doe ratio.
She's in Mississippi.
Yeah, Mississippi.
And my sister said there's a.
See, she's going to be down there. There's a show in Mississippi. I think she is. You're going to Jackson, aren't you?
Probably is.
Because I thought you mentioned that on your live the other day.
Well, Jackson, Mississippi. I'm jealous.
How much do you feed your does before weaning, and do you maintain the same and drop any after weaning? How much do you feed your does before weaning? Do you mean like my milking does, or like my? I mean, I don't really change their feed ratio. Like whatever I'm feeding them while they are lactating and feeding kids, I will pretty much give them that, unless it seems like their body condition drops or something's going on dietary wise.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Really, your feeding changes more for show season versus after. You seem to drop off, right? That's more
after show season. Like I and
now for shows you pump.
No, in the past, I used to be one where I did not feed them grain at all after show season until like a month before. Mm-hmm. But because of the way that Nigerians have large litters, like for boars, yes, because boars are big animals. Definitely the way to go feeding a boar. But Nigerians with their large litters and dairy production and just seeing like kind of how some of them want to flesh out and some of them don't, or they want to be a sharper dairy animal. Like I do feed at least once year round right now.
Yeah, he did confirm. It should have added if you keep a doe in milk.
Yeah, if I keep them in milk, they kind of get the same ration. Dairy animals sometimes are input equals output. I really want an animal that for input, I'm getting a lot more output. So I want thrifty does. And that's why like where milk testing really comes in handy for me, because like I know my management style from all animals across the spectrum, and they all get the same amount of management. So when I do milk testing, if I see like I have 2 does that are pretty close in body condition and one is just dumping it in the pail, neither one of them have kids on them and the other one is just not like for no reason is just dropping off because she does not have the will to milk, then I know I'm making cuts based on that. Milk, I will say milk testing is a really, really great tool for culling. Really, really great tool, because then it tells you like this animal is
statistics on
it
paper.
Does put statistics on paper. And then I can say this animal, I've had to pull her aside forever to give her extra calories. I'm not getting the high milk output.
Really eye-opening for you.
Once it really you started was eye-opening.
Exactly what your results
And because
were.
like my milk does are coming up on the stand, they're literally getting the same ration every single day at the same time. And they are allowed to finish it before they go back out. Yeah. And I do not deal with animals that start kicking and going crazy without feed. Yeah. Dude, we wrestle. You stand until I'm done.
Even notice like you saw variations in like the weather affecting them. If a hot day, all of a sudden,
or someone's in heat,
like all of a sudden, or something like something's going on with this goat because its milk production's dropped off, and then you're
but like even milk testing has different codes, status codes for you to give. Like this animal was sick. Like I had one time Rosie came up and she was scouring really bad. It was milk test day. I was like, this is disgusting. I was having to do like a full cleanup. I'm like, she's ill. She does not feel good. And then I had Mighty Mouse last year, was in a screaming heat. Like it just like, I just knew she was in a heat. So I just coded her that she was in heat for that day. So then they take that into consideration when they're calibrating those numbers, because like milk testing and you need to do more than one milk test really to get really good information. I think they can do a projection, but really unless you have multiple tests kind of stacking up, like you really can't see.
Registered to validate?
Yeah, she is. She asked me this year if I wanted her to stay on. I said, yes, please, because I'm using you.
My sister too, right?
Oh yeah, she can definitely help Ashley do it. She can go do it. And I'd pay her to come do it. We feed her that day. We have the boys come over. Joe babysits while we're milking. We feed them. We have a good time. But yeah, their show rations don't really change. If I have to change them too much, then for me, with almost like 50-ish goats right now, like I don't have time to take for one goat. If I've got 40 that are doing great on the same ration and they're all doing the same thing, and then I have 5 or 6 that they're just like, and they're not stellar in any other way, they're out. I don't want those genetics. I just kind of use that. It was a big stink bug. Barky's watching our state bird fly around in here. The stink bug. Yes, I like Wiedemann Reed too. She did have some high quality eye. She did. I was really sad to see like she didn't have a whole lot of luck with AI, but she was using Solomon Quinn, which actually the judge for our show, Rachel Burchett, has that buck. So she bought that semen from her. So it was kind of funny to see like someone that that we know or are familiar with in this area, like that has that buck, ended up being used in AI for Danelle. I do think she did get like one Solomon Quinn doe.
Travels around a lot. Is that Blue Mountain Genetics? Is that the one?
Yeah, Blue Mountain.
Yeah, because they travel. I started following Facebook. And they go all across the country.
I'm not doing
that.
Come on, Ashley.
That wasn't the one where like there was a prison nearby and there was like there was like a couple inmates escaped.
Was that Jackson?
You were down there. I remember that was like
the stories that Ashley tells sometimes.
Believe me,
like from judging, it's like, oh my god.
There's always like something crazy with her trip. It cracks me up.
Oh man.
We're always like, how did it go? And she's like, well, and then goes into this story.
Are you going to be at any shows in Oklahoma this year? I am planning to be at Oklahoma's too far for us. But Ashley, are you doing anything in Oklahoma?
Yeah, my sister
perhaps for
so on judging? That note, that's like sort of our bucket list item is like if we could retire, we'd get like a trailer with like a living quarters up front and then just do like a circle out west and do shows with the goats. That'd be cool.
It would be super fun. When Joe's like out of the house and
out of the house, she need to stay here to take care of the goats.
She would. She hates the goats.
She says she does, but then she actually gets up and takes.
She doesn't like the goats, guys, and that's okay. She doesn't have to like the goats. She tells me, especially like when I'm really like on a goat ranch, she's like, I don't care about those goats. I'm like, I'm very aware. I spend the money on them because I want to spend the money on them. I didn't know. Yeah, she was actually going to sell him, Ashley. She had him for sale, like, and she had that freaking Wolfovin. What was it, like a root? It was related to parsley root. She has Wolfovin parsley root. She was also for sale. I almost bought her. I was inquiring, and all of a sudden she's like, I don't want to sell her. And she's related to the national champion from this year, but she does have Sullivan Quinn, and that's where he resides. She was going to sell him like at the beginning of October and had all these people put in bids, and then she was like, no, I'm not selling him. So
I was laughing because Flo's like, yeah, Jackson's a crime city.
Yes, it was, but the people are absolutely the sweetest. Yes. Yeah. That's good. People make a big difference.
And Ashley's doing a show in Stillwell.
In Stillwell on Memorial Day.
That would be Oklahoma, I think.
Yeah.
She's talking about.
My goodness. Mm-hmm. You've got some stories to tell, Ashley. You know, you should just do that like a live and just like tell all the stories on like goat judging. Because like seriously,
the adventures of a goat judge.
I know that you travel a ton, but I always look forward to hearing like what a crap show something was, because I'm like, she's gonna come home with stories and we're gonna get to laugh about all of it.
They're always a little bit chaotic.
Like, okay, so last year we went to this what was it, a Midsummer's goat show, and Ashley won the Goat Olympics and got the biggest freaking trophy.
Her initial run, the goat got away. It was a buck.
And he ran away, and it was on video.
Ran to the show ring towards it. Well, it was all going.
He's like, all you did was stand there, because I was like, oh, because he just took off.
And then there was like some guy. Chad was trying to bring. The guy in the stands was dying laughing.
Oh, it was Jeremy Gann. He was the one laughing.
Yeah.
And then Chad was bringing over Maverick, but then he went into like the dough ring of the show.
Yeah.
And all those people are looking at him like, why are you bringing a buck into this dough ring? Because he didn't know where it was at. Here's the perspective,
ladies, for you.
But it was just so funny. Like, you have like so many different stories that go. Yeah. That's why, like, even if you don't go to show, like, you should go just to like do the people watching.
Actually, really needs to make a spot in her new house for that trophy. It was like 4 foot tall. It's huge. Remember they started carrying it through the barn? We're like, what is that? Yeah.
So like the people running the Olympic, like, and it was just like a little goat course. Like you had to go around cones and over things and around
tell you exactly.
They didn't tell you what you had to do. So like Chad booked through it. Like he was flying. But then she's like, it had like 7 penalties. So that's like 4, you know, we're gonna add like 40 seconds to your run.
Penalized
and he came out, he's like, she didn't even tell me how to go through the course, but I got penalties. So
oh yeah, and the guy was carrying around your goat that kept escaping. Yeah, we looked at him like, that looks like our goat.
I think that was Shannon Downs, because like every time I looked over, he had one of my baby goats in his arms. He's like, "Is this one of yours too?"
Yeah, one of ours was missed. Remember, it was like 3 pins over.
It was Posey.
Yeah.
Dumb Posey.
Yeah, poor that was an interesting show.
Yeah, we made quite a few carrying my goat around.
Yeah, like I remember it took a while, so like we ended up making multiple runs for food. Me and Chad went and got pizza.
Oh, it was such a long show.
Like,
she brought hot dogs.
Yeah,
we were grilling them out and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was such a long show. Like, that was one, like, if you kind of roll in for shows, like for a 1-day show, like, you have to be usually checked in, like, prior to 8 a.m. And for us, like, shows are, the closest one is an hour and 40 minutes away. That's Johnson County, the heart of Indiana. That is the closest show to us. So if they're like, we want you penned by 7:30, I'm like, okay, 7:30. So we got to leave at like 5:50, but I'm going to give myself a half hour because we're going to stop and get breakfast. So then I have to be up an hour before that to get dressed, load up goats, and get everything in the truck to go. So like those are really early mornings. And that stinking show, we were still showing bucks at like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
We did not get home until after 1 a.m. And that was because like we had already preloaded everything into the trailer that could go. And then when we were like, you didn't get a ribbon.
Family you are.
Dude, goat shows will cause divorce. You will disown
you
children.
See spouses fight.
We have seen like people broken into tears, like mom and dad fighting, and the kids sitting there crying between them. Where I'm like,
it's a trial.
Oh Jesus, help them!
Yeah,
I'm like, God bless you.
Yeah, people falling down, people getting,
or like I'll find myself like. The best parts of you come out at shows, but also like loose. The worst parts, like State Fair. I was like, we're going to divorce before we're done. Mm-hmm. Like we are going to divorce before we leave the State Fair.
It was a trial.
And because we were staying in the barn, there was like nowhere private to go. Cause like
spousal torture test for sure.
Marky was, and he was, I'm going to share it with people, but he's like, I don't want to be one of these guys. They all just look like they're just here dying, and all their women are bossing them around and telling them to go get goats. Done. She's like, I'm not going to be this type of man.
Go enjoy the fair. I was done.
And I was like, well, what can I do? Like, what do you want to do on a weekend? Like, we don't have to go to goat shows. So like, we're sitting out on the steps in front of the state fair. Joe is like having a heart attack. She's like, it was so embarrassing because it was in public. I'm like, you see all these people, they're doing it too. They're all threatening divorce too. It's okay. We're in this together. And the freaking showers were so disgusting.
Yeah. You had to stand in the water.
It was so bad.
Flo's like, I need serious prayer before and we were just,
Flo, like we really get along like on a good level. But like that weekend, I was just like, we're gonna divorce. He's gonna leave me over this show.
You could not sleep at all. Like there was like the lights wouldn't turn off, so you had the lights on, and then on top of that, goats were moving constantly. Somebody had like a cell phone that was like
over by Ash's, like oh,
and I could hear it once in a while. So you're like, it was a mess. It was a mess.
And then there was a goat. And it was Saturday night. There was a goat that had gotten a hold of a bucket and was bored all night and was just slamming the bucket again. And I was just like,
CBS Survivor has nothing on a goat barn at the state fair, or even a show at the.
Yeah, see, Ashley's talking about it. The wolf howl and the garbage on the kids. So we had cots. And they did weird things with stalls. Like not everybody got as many stalls as they wanted, but there were tons of stalls open by the end of it because people just didn't end up not coming. It was very odd. So we had an extra stall over next to our stuff. So we had Ashley's kids come over and sleep. And I woke up and the poor things had like all this cardboard like pulled over their heads. Like because they didn't want the light. So it looked like they didn't have blankets and they were just like little homeless children like in the stalls. It was hilarious.
People walking by.
So we have really great memories, but there are moments where I'm like, God, you've got to get me through it. Yeah. Like I'm going to kill someone at this show. I'm going to not be Christ-like. I'm going to cuss. Like
Rebecca said that sounds as bad as going to a good show and having to wait for the sheep to finish up.
When you go to those like big shows, we have one near us. It's a county fair. And the dairy goat open show exhibitors were wigging out because the meat goats were still in there, like losing their minds because biosecurity is such a thing for dairy goats. Whereas meat goats, it's like not a thing at all. They're like, these are market animals.
Yeah, they're going
like they're literally going to go on a truck. We don't care like what diseases they carry. Whereas like dairy goats are like, don't touch my animal. They're on a specific diet. Don't feed them. Don't touch them. Don't do anything with them. Like stay away from my animal. Yeah. So that really gets to be interesting.
Vaughn, you need a pop-up camper? Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
I will leave my husband and kids home, dang. No, because you're going to need extra hands showing goats.
We need to help. Everybody's got to endure it.
Mark always scolds me because he does great keeping like notes and placement, but sometimes I'll bring 3 for a class because I'm like, there are 3 handlers here and I'm getting all 3 of these goats judged multiple times. And that's really when I really push the limits when I do that, because then he's trying to keep where you can tell because we're all in line and we're like looking and counting to see like where we are in the line. Before,
like judges do have a particular taste, and like so
we've started keeping notes on judges that like our
other
stock.
Judges, like another judge's husband does that too. Yeah. So we're just looking to see like, hey,
like I have certain names where like I've gone and searched shows just for that judge because I'm like, he liked every single goat I brought in. I want to show in his rings. I got a ribbon under this guy, like Joe Pelotti, Don Bergfield, Scott Horner, and there's 2 or 3 others where I'm like, they just really like my animals, so I look for them. You need a good pop. We have talked about it. I really want a nice like livestock trailer that has sleeping quarters with it.
Yeah, it really made us jealous too at the state fair. Is they had the what was that draft horse nationals, I think it was.
They had,
and the equipment they brought in, like the trailers and trucks. Yvonne, you know, like mess with cattle,
incredible,
and probably like big animals, like this stuff. Well, they like semi trucks with like, it looked like a hotel at the front, and then
it did. But then we are not allowed to have tents. Like it's in the rules in all of those buildings. Like you are not allowed to have a tent or canopies. And then you go into like the dairy cattle or the cattle barns, and they've got full on tents that are enclosed, and they've got all these things going. And I'm like, what in the actual heck? Like, we're not allowed to have any of that in our barn. So it causes some rifts between species where you're like, why do you get that? And I don't get that. Those campers are expensive.
Oh yeah.
They are expensive. There's one lady, and actually I don't remember who it is. She breeds sables and she runs the state fair. Like, she is the person at State Fair that she runs most of the dairy goat. She pulled up to Hoosier Classic. What was it last year? It was the year before. And she had sables, but her trailer was amazing. Her trailer had like all these different compartments, because I watched her. She was showing off of her trailer, and then in the front there was like a big area for a camping area.
That's like going to what's
insane.
that show in Kentucky? Remember we looked at Nail, and the trailer's down there. Yeah,
that's when you're like, this trailer costs as much as my house does.
Yeah.
Like, I spent a lot of money on
they're
them.
like totally modular, where inside you can basically put little pens. So you could easily get like different.
I both like those. I both love those trailers, but I also hate them because I'm like, it limits you. But then a lot of those gates in between open up to make it like
or they come out
pen.
completely to make up a full trailer. So.
I really have been looking at like a longer trailer that has like almost like the Cornhusker trailers that have like the front that closes in.
Oh yeah.
Because then I could put bucks up there, and I could put all the animals in the enclosed trailer, and then everything else be in the back of my truck to make it easy to drop stuff.
Yeah.
And unload animals and possibly show off of trailers, because as much as like I love having pens and like a good place at some of these shows, sometimes like it just seems a lot better to show off of your trailer.
My only thing is, like, when you look at them though, they're so nice and stuff. I'm like, will this work with 3 inches of poop and shavings in the bottom? Like, trying to get something down into like a socket in the bottom.
But that is a really good point that people don't think about.
It's the same thing. Like, you think about like a nice truck and stuff like that. Like, would that actually tow something or not? You know?
Yeah. What do we call those?
Like
garage queens. When you see people with like the really nice trucks where there's like nothing on them, like, there is a garage queen. Like, that truck has never seen dirt.
Dents, rust.
Sometimes I look at the truck and I'm like, I don't know where that dent came from.
Yeah.
You found one the other day where I was like, that wasn't there. And he's like, no, somebody hit the truck and just kind of like left. Didn't even care.
Backed into something.
I didn't back into any.
There was blood on the back wheel.
There wasn't blood on the back
Ran over
wheel.
somebody.
Stop it. When we showed off the trailer, Time ended up in the last. I remember that. And then William ended up riding a goat. Did he ride Pancake? Was that who he rode?
Yeah,
like she ran between his legs and like
started going flying down. It was.
I told Joe, because she was talking about doing like creative writing for the fair. I'm like, you should just write some of that stuff, like, and just go into detail, like stories that you've actually lived out. I'm like, because like. They're great writing opportunities, and Joe likes to write. So, yeah, I think we're gonna cut it off though, guys. I see Yvonne. I saw that your order popped through, and I want to go ahead and pull that. And I've got some things to do. It was Hazel. It wasn't Pancake. Hazel's a wide lady too, so I can definitely see Hazel picking William up and running
off the ground.
Poor Mr. William.
Livestock are always an adventure.
They are, but the people there too. I can't wait to see my boyfriend. Nugs.
You have a special.
I have a special boyfriend.
Place in your heart for.
He will never forget the first time I met him. Butt crack this far out of his pants. Me this far away from him, trying to eat my Wendy's nuggets. Just like, are you serious? Like, could you please pull up your pants? Oh well. Anyways, guys, thanks for spending time with us. It's been really fun talking to you, talking goat stuff. I know it's really not the most fun for everybody. But I appreciate your time. I enjoy talking to you guys. I missed you all last week.
Yep.
We're hoping to do more this week. Ashley, I tried to do a live in my barn the other day, and apparently nobody could see it because I think I left it unlisted.
Yeah.
So trying to learn how to do that. Maybe, yeah, I really hope so. I really miss his face. There's Margie. Hi, Margie. I was wondering if you're still in here.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up, though, and let you all get back to your evening and your families. We thank you for spending your time here with us on Mulberry Branch Farm. We hope that you are all staying safe out there and being kind to one another. We will catch you all in the next one. God bless you. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Good night, everyone.